Happy Wednesday. I'm so excited to be coming in live with you guys today. I have got a presentation and all, so I'm really excited for you to be here. Give me 2 seconds. I'm going to share this into the Facebook group. Unfortunately, now with Meta's rules and regulations as far as their API, they're not let you stream into a group directly. So I want to make sure that if you're on TikTok with me, if you're on Instagram with me, or in my Facebook group, that you are seeing this. So I'm going to share it into the group and we are going to rock and roll. Let me know that you're here, that you're watching, where you're watching from. Drop it in the comments. I am so excited because this is a topic that I get asked about a lot in my DMs, especially in stories on Instagram. And it's going to make a lot of sense to you why today as we go through this, because so many people are struggling right now to be able to see results with their content, right? Content fatigue is real. It's happening. People are struggling with it. And I really want to make sure that today we focus on why you're struggling with your content strategy. I think it's very important. And I think after today, I know after today, that you are going to have at least the knowledge to know why your content strategy is struggling, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. I'm gonna flip the screen on TikTok just so you guys can actually see the presentation because there are pieces to it that I want you to be able to understand and visually see, okay? So, again, drop in the comments. Let me know that you're watching, and I'm going to go ahead and start presenting. All right, perfect. So I'm going to flip the screen on TikTok so you guys can actually see what's going on here too. And you can always jump in my Facebook group to be able to, see this at a different angle. So let me put you guys here. That's probably best. Okay. All right. So the missing piece of your content strategy, and again, this is really important that we go over this because so many people right now are struggling with their content, whether they are, brand new or even just some seasoned entrepreneurs are really struggling with this. So let's talk about me. I just want to introduce myself just because I do have a lot of new people here that have never done a training with me. It's been a long time since I've done a training like this live. I usually don't make presentations for my live trainings, but I have a super exciting announcement at the end. So I want to be able to, show you guys this visually. But I am a certified master coach. I have over 6 years of experience in digital marketing. I did digital marketing in corporate before I started my business. So just know that, a lot of my experience, my knowledge has come from years of doing this for larger brands, 6-7 figure brands. And I developed that into my own business in June of 2022. So in June of 2022, I actually started my first business online and I did social media management. So I did what I was already doing in corporate, but I turned it into my own business. And I went on to hit 6 figures in less than 6 months in that business. So I would say that I did have quick results. And that's not necessarily because of any magic formula or magic hack that you think is going to, produce those results overnight. A lot of that was hustle, grind, trial, error, and figuring it out. But a lot of it was the knowledge that I did bring from my previous experience in corporate. So just know that. I'm excited that you're here. If you're new and you've never done a training with me. So I want to talk about what not having a content strategy feels like, because I do know that some of you might think, okay, well, I do have a strategy. Let's talk about what it feels like when you don't have a strategy, because in actuality, you might think you have a strategy, but you don't. And I'm gonna show that to you here in a second, okay? But what it feels like to not have a content strategy, difficulty in creating content, and frustration with inconsistent or even worse, no sales, right? So if you have been doing this for any amount of time, whether it be 5 months or 5 years or 5 weeks, if you wake up and you don't know what to say to your audience, or you wake up and you are just like, oh, I'm just uninspired today, you don't have a content strategy. Okay. You don't have a content strategy. I'm going to prove that to you here in a minute. Don't take my word for it just yet. I'm going to prove it to you. If you feel like a fraud in your content, maybe you're promoting something, a course, a program, and you've had no results with it, right? You've had no sales, but you are being told by this program or whoever, or maybe you're telling yourself because you're watching other people's content, well, I need to post about how this passive income stream is going to help change your life. And you haven't had a sale yet. Of course you feel like a fraud. Of course you were sitting there going, oh, this just doesn't feel good to me, right? Now, there's a lot that goes into content strategy, and vision casting is part of that, but authenticity always wins. Storytelling always wins. So it's really important that you understand that. So if you are struggling, you feel like a fraud every day when you wake up selling something you haven't had a result with, you don't have a content strategy, okay? And that's where that imposter syndrome sets in. That's where that, oh man, I just don't know what's working, or, what's the missing piece, or why she's doing so much better than me. That's when that starts to happen. Okay. Maybe you're feeling burnt out by constant demand to produce content multiple times a day, 3, 4, 5 times a day. You're on social media 24/7. You're checking your notifications when you should be doing something else or spending time with your kids, right? And you are especially feeling burnt out if you haven't had any sales or haven't had consistent sales, because we as humans want immediate results. We want to see rewards from our work. And if you're not having a result, of course you're burnt out. And I just talked about this on my Instagram stories this morning, because this exact question came through a question box of like, I am so fatigued. Like, I am so burnt out. You maybe feel disappointed with yourself. Right? This is one of those internal struggles that we have as marketers, but you're disappointed with yourself and your ability to figure it out, right? You maybe saw all over your feed some time freedom and how you can, leave your job in 6 months. And now you're going, why isn't it working for me? Right? Why isn't it working for me? And then maybe every day you're waking up thinking to yourself, what do I need to make a sale today? I just want to get my money back out of what I bought, out of the course I bought. And then at the end of the night, when you go to check your emails, looking for those payment notifications, you're going, another day, right? So this is what it feels like to not have a content strategy. It feels like not having a result. That's what it feels like. And so if you can relate to any of this, drop in the comments and let me know. Let me know. Give me a like, give me a heart, give me something in the comments that you have felt this at some point in time. Because I can tell you, I have a content strategy, but I have felt like this at many points in my business. Usually when I go off my strategy, usually when I spend too much time scrolling and I'm like, oh, that's a really good idea. And I go post something that wasn't on my strategy to begin with. Of course, because I didn't stick with my strategy. I started following someone else's lead instead of leading my own business. Okay. And I'm going to give you some actionable things today for you to be able to, work through this. And then, like I said, at the end, I have something really exciting. Okay. So why is it important to have a content strategy? Because I want you to understand the importance of it, because we are going to go into what it can do for your business. Okay. So first and foremost, it's important to have a strategy and not just be cranking out random content, because when you have a strategy, your content actually has a result tied to it. Okay. So what I mean by that is maybe you're scrolling on TikTok and you see somebody made this video and it got all kinds of views. So you're like, okay, I'm going to recreate this video. I'm going to make it my own, but there's no result tied to it, right? It's a video about, I don't know, a trend or something, but it doesn't relate to your audience. It's not going to convert a sale. It's not going to make people, it's not going to grow your target audience. So there's no result. There's no point in that piece of content. When you're just cranking out content to crank out content, of course you're going to burn the hell out. Of course you're going to be exhausted. You are just making things to make things because that's what you feel like you're supposed to do, right? You've been told that you have to make 3 videos a day on TikTok. So you're just making content because that's what you think you need to be doing. And that's not a money-making activity. So when you have a content marketing strategy, you have a plan. And not just a plan of, oh, I'm going to post at 10, 2, and 3. You have an actual plan of this piece of content does this for my business. This piece of content does this for my business. And it's very important that you understand that. Okay. A good content strategy also ensures what you create delivers and aligns with your business goals. Again, just like we just talked about, if you don't know what each piece of content in your business is supposed to be doing, what result it's supposed to be getting for you, then you're never going to get a result because you are throwing spaghetti at the wall, hoping it sticks, and it's just a messy process. Okay. So having a content strategy does a lot of things. Some other things that it does that might be easier to understand at this point in your business is it makes sure you're consistent. Okay. I do content audits all the time in my programs, and I've done them before in my challenges. And I've done it before where I've audited content, and this video they posted at 10 is speaking to the complete beginner, someone who has no idea, someone that's looking to make money online. And then the second video they post that day is speaking to a digital marketer. Of course, you're going to attract other people in your niche when you're teaching funnels or when you're teaching email marketing. When you don't have a content strategy, your messaging isn't consistent. And so that's part of the reason you don't know if the people following you actually care about what you have to offer, or if they're just there to see what you're doing so they could do it too. It's very important that you understand your strategy needs to be tied to one person, okay? One ideal client when you're just beginning. And I'll go into that a little deeper in a little bit. But a posting schedule is not a content strategy, okay? I want to make that super clear before we go any further. All right. So if I ask you what your content strategy is and you tell me, well, I post at like 8 and 1, that's not a content strategy. Okay. That's a posting schedule. And those are important too for you to stay consistent. But if you're consistently doing the wrong thing, you're going to consistently get the same result. Okay. So if it hasn't worked, if your posting schedule has not worked up until this point, it's not working and it's not going to work, right? You have to have strategy behind your posting schedule. And when you have strategy, I'll be honest with you, you can be a little more inconsistent with your posting. And I will never, ever tell anyone to be inconsistent, because consistency is what builds that muscle. And that's what builds that trust with your audience. But there are days in my business, this last Saturday was one of them, where I didn't post anything. I spent time with my family. I completely unplugged. I needed the day off. I think it's very important for us to be able to take days off. And even though I had content in my drafts, I had a strategy, I could have whipped the post out in 5 minutes. I didn't touch my phone at all. I didn't want to. I had no desire to. And that's another thing. If you are forcing your content, that's another sign you don't have a strategy. If you're forcing that content, your audience can tell. Okay. And that's where your excitement and that momentum dies in your business. So posting schedule is not a content strategy, as long as we're super clear on that. All right. So the top mistakes that I see in a content strategy. Number 1, waiting for perfection. I cannot tell you how many people I talk to on a weekly basis that bought, let's say Roadmap, for instance. They bought Roadmap 3 months ago and they haven't made a post yet about it. And ideally, we wouldn't post directly about the product, right? We would start trying to grow our audience, but they're waiting to grow. They don't feel like they know enough yet. They don't feel like an expert yet. They don't feel like they have anything to share yet. They don't know their story. They don't know who they want to help. They think they can help everyone. Waiting for that perfect moment, you are going to consistently put off your success. Period, point blank, the end. Okay? Do it messy. Messy, massive action will always yield you a better result, more sales than anything. Now, that's just to get your toes wet. That's just, to get your feet in the sand kind of thing. But once you have started getting comfortable with the content, you need a strategy. Okay, you need a strategy. The second biggest mistake I see people making is diving in without a plan. So in the beginning, when you're first getting started, because I know I have people of all phases on this live and that will watch the replay. We've got people that just started a week ago. I've got people that have been doing it 6 months. People may be doing it years. But when you're just getting started in your first month or two, you're just getting comfortable with the platforms, you're getting comfortable with the content, you're getting comfortable with whatever your offer is, okay? But after that like 60-day mark, you need a plan, okay? And if you don't have a plan, that's how you're going to get burnt out. You're going to wake up every day going, oh God, I know I'm supposed to make videos today and I don't know what to say. I got to scroll. I got to look what Rachel posted so I could get an idea from Rachel. And I got to see what Nicole's doing because she always has good stuff. So I'm going to check her out. Oh, what trending audio did Stephanie use today? Let me go get, you're spending more time watching other people than you are on your ideal client. Okay. So again, after like that 60-day mark, it's time for you to get a plan. And if you don't know how to create one on your own, it's time to find help for someone that can help you with one, okay? The third mistake that I see people making in their content strategy is forgetting about their audience, okay? Forgetting about your audience. Your ideal client is the person that you want to purchase your offer, okay? And you could tell yourself all day you're not in sales. I hear this all the time. I'm not a salesperson. Okay, well, I'm not a nonprofit, so I'm here to make sales. I mean, that's just, I hope you are too, right? If you want money, you got to make some sales, okay? There's a good way to do it. There's a bad way to do it, but forgetting about the audience. So a lot of times in content audits I've done, I've watched videos where people are talking about themselves the whole time. About this happened to me and that happened to me. You're getting on your stories and you're like, hey guys, so yeah, today is, what's today? Wednesday. And I'm going to do this in the morning and I'm going to eat this for lunch and this for, nobody cares about you. People care about themselves. They care about themselves, right? You are there. Your only reason for posting content should be to attract them to you, to help them, to serve them. They're forgetting about their audience. Another way you can look at this is when you're forgetting about your audience, this is when you only attract other people in your niche because you're talking about your journey too much. You're talking about your story too much in a way that doesn't show them what's possible for them, right? In a way that doesn't show a transformation. So if you're only attracting your niche, other digital marketers to you, probably forgot about your audience. Okay, you've probably started to share too many tips and tricks and hacks and things that only should apply to people who are already doing what they're doing. The fourth thing is leaving out a call to action. Okay, yeah, you probably have some sort of call to action in your content of telling people like, drop this keyword to get this or, whatever. But do they understand what the call to action will get them, right? So that transformation is where most people miss the mark on the call to action. So I did some content audits yesterday with some of my students and looking at like captions and stuff like that. It was like that great written caption. And then we talked about this, about that how you have to transition from the caption to the call to action, because a lot of times people will say, you'll give a good storytelling caption and you're like, this is the biggest mistake I made and yada, yada, yada. And you explain the mistake. And then you say, drop guide to get my free digital marketing guide. Do they understand? Does your audience understand reading that? How you just went from the biggest mistake you made to getting the guide, right? You need to frame it to, if you don't want to make the same mistakes that I did, I've put all of my best secrets in this guide. So you get, like, do they understand why they need to get it, right? Do they understand why they need to get it? Call to actions are very important in every piece of content. Even when I post a photo of my children, okay, on my personal profile on Facebook, I do a lot more like family style content just because I've had that page since, I don't know, I was in college. But even when I do it there, I give a call to action. Yesterday, just a random pic of me in my pajamas sitting out on the steps at 3 p.m. when my kids get off the bus. But I still had a call to action. What are you doing this summer? Right? It was an engagement style post. That's the whole point. I knew what the piece of content was supposed to do. I knew why I was posting it. And I still had a call to action, even though it wasn't a selling piece of content. You have to understand call to actions and how to put them into your content. And the last thing is failing to get organized. If you go to post today, a reel, a TikTok, a Facebook post, I don't care what it is, and you have to do like this, Where was that video, that B-roll that I took back in January of 2022? You are wasting time. Wasting time. Okay? You got to have a system in place to get your ass organized. Okay? You're not going to see, if you want to be that 6-figure business owner that earns $10,000 a month, you're not going to go walk into a 7-figure business or Forbes company or whatever and then go, oh yeah, I gotta find that. I gotta get all the papers off my desk. And you're like, start running it like a business. Okay? You got to get organized. I am the first person to tell you, and if you watch me on my Instagram stories, you know, my business is extremely organized. My personal life, not so much. But I keep my business organized because it's what feeds my kids. It's what keeps my lights on in my house. And I have clients and audience members that are depending on me. So you got to figure out how to get your ass organized. Okay. And I don't care if you have a 9-to-5. I don't care if you just started doing this. If you get organized from the very beginning, it will make your life and your business run so much smoother. Okay. All right. So imagine if you could triple your engagement. You could double your sales conversions. You could grow your audience by 50%. You could generate hundreds of new leads and save hours every week on social media content, right? Because what does that really mean for you? Triple your engagement. When you have a content strategy, you know you are attracting the right audience members because you are consistent, not just in posting, but in messaging. Okay, your messaging is what attracts people to you. My messaging is what attracted you to me. Okay, that's just how it works. So when you can triple your engagement by making sure you're only attracting the right people. You can double your sales conversions because when you understand a content strategy, you have a mixture of content. We're going to go into that in a second, but there is growth content, there is attraction content, there is warming content, there is conversion content. You can double your sales conversions by understanding what type of content needs to go into your strategy. You can grow your audience because when you have a strategy and you know exactly what you're posting every day, you're going to be more consistent. You're going to show up. Your content's going to be a higher quality because you're not so burnt out from looking at Sue's, big old income claims and feeling, oh man, why is it not happening for me? You're going to see growth. You're going to see growth. You're going to generate new leads because you are going to be so on fire because you know exactly what to post, what to say, when to say it, and you feel confident that people are going to start opting into your freebies, opting into your funnels. And you're going to save yourself a whole lot of time. I do a lot of content on TikTok about how quick I make content. Honestly, I posted a video about this morning. 12 videos in less than 45 minutes. Half of those videos were 5 minutes apiece because I know exactly what I need to say and I can get my content done. Okay. So I want you to imagine this is possible because it is. It is. It's what's happened in my business and it's exactly what I teach my students. So what's the missing piece? Because the title of this training is the missing piece. So what is the missing piece? A lot of those mistakes you might be making. Okay, a lot of them, but the number one missing piece to your content strategy, a freaking plan. It is a plan. You're waking up every day going, okay, so I think today I need to, I don't know. And you're spending so much time scrolling, watching what other people are doing. You deviate, even if you have a plan. Maybe you've made one. Maybe I can applaud you for making a plan. But then you see old Susie's post that got 100,000 views, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna make that content today. I'm gonna make this my own, and you deviate from your plan. Instead of being confident in what you have, you start shiny object syndrome. Maybe you told yourself at the beginning of this year you weren't going to buy any more courses this year. You were going to learn to sell the damn courses you already have. Give me an amen in the comments if you said that to yourself. I ain't buying no more courses this year. And then as soon as that new I don't know. I'm not going to call them out by name, but there's about 18 of them over on Instagram. As soon as that new one dropped, you were like, I'm in. I want it. It's got what I need. It's that missing piece. Wrong. Wrong. If you couldn't sell the first one, you're not going to be able to sell the second one. Okay? Now, sure, you might open the second one and it might speak to you a little differently. It might trigger some excitement for you and you might be able to run off and sell it. But 9 times out of 10, you're going to see the same result if you're doing the same thing. Okay? Same thing. All right. So let's get into some actionable steps for you guys, because I always like to give you something in these trainings for you to be able to implement in your business. 80% of your content strategy should be spent on planning. Okay? 80%. So if you're someone who works a 9 to 5 and you're like, look, I only got an hour a day to work my business Monday through Friday. It's 5 hours a week. Okay? 1 hour should probably be on administrative style tasks, working on your funnels, working on your emails, those types of things. 1 hour should probably be allocated. I'm not doing math in my head, so don't add the hours up, but on engagement, that kind of stuff. 2.5 of those hours should be on actual planning of your content. And then maybe 30 minutes to film if you're only doing 1 video a day. I can almost guarantee you it's the absolute opposite. You're staring at the camera on your phone for an hour going, what was I going to say? Oh man, I can't remember what I was going to do. I saw this video yesterday and I was going to make it and I can't, who posted it? And then you start scrolling, looking for it again. Oh no, you have to be planning. I sit down and I've been trying to actually get even further ahead in my content recently because my kids today's their last day of school. So it's about to get haywire around here. I have written captions for Instagram for at least 30 days, like 30 days out. My captions are written. I use my captions to formulate everything else. My posts, my threads, my stories. I can read those captions out loud and film A-roll videos on TikTok. Like if I didn't do anything else for, on planning, I at least know I have 30 days planned out. Let me know in the comments if you have 30 days of content planned out right now. Because if you do, that's great. Do you think it's strategic to make sales? That's where it gets tricky. Okay. So when you know what you're doing, it's very easy, okay? So here are a couple questions to refine your content strategy. So if you are sitting there watching going, well, I don't have one yet, that's okay. Take note of these questions so that you can at least try to refine what you're doing. And I have a solution for you at the end, okay? But let's dig into some key questions to help you refine your content strategy. So if you can grab a pen and paper, great. If you don't have one handy, the replay of this training will be on my business page and in my Facebook group. So if you're on TikTok, you can jump in my group so that you can rewatch this if for some reason you don't have access to a pen and paper right now, okay? All right. So the first question is, what are you trying to achieve? We talked about this a little bit earlier, but ask yourself, what are you trying to achieve? I know you're all probably thinking sales. I mean, that's what I really want, right? I want some money. But each piece of content has a different job. Okay. So you need to not only ask this for a business goal, but also for each piece of content. So when you go to post a piece of content, what are you trying to achieve with it? Are you trying to get opt-ins, brand awareness, grow your following, generate leads, accelerate your sales cycle, which would be like conversions, right? Or is it a middle of funnel piece of content that is more for the person who's been following you, right? Just to kind of warm them up. You have to have a mixture of content. We'll talk about that in a second. But each goal requires different types of content. If I'm looking to, I want to grow my following on Instagram, right? So that I can launch my next product. If that was my goal, I'm going to post more growth style content. Okay. If my goal was to, rev up sales for something, I would post conversion style content. They're not the same. You'll very often see On growth style content, you'll get a good amount of engagement, a good amount of views, a good amount of likes, but little to no conversions. On conversion style content, you'll very often see you don't get very little engagement, but you make more sales. But you cannot have all conversion content or all growth content, because then you'll constantly be growing with no sales, or you'll be making sales. And then once you've sold your thing to everyone, it's over. You're not growing. You have to constantly be growing to make consistent sales. Okay. So ask yourself this. Your content strategy needs to evolve from metrics. Okay. So one thing that I tell my students when they come in the academy is it's definitely not an overnight thing. Okay. Well, we build your strategy. You go perform it for 30 days consistently. And then let's look at the metrics. What pieces of content worked? What pieces of content didn't? And then let's make some adjustments. Let's optimize. Let's reframe it. Do it again for 30 days. Okay. That's how it works until you get the magic formula where you have gotten to consistent $10,000, $15,000 months, whatever your goal is. Then there comes a certain point where when you get to $15,000, $20,000 a month, certain point where you either have to start running ads or you have to really amp up on, hiring a VA or automation. You only got so many hours in the day. Okay. So that's just where you're looking at. But you most likely won't use the same strategy forever. Your strategy has to evolve based on your metrics. And you need to understand your ICA, which is your ideal client avatar. We talk about that all the time. You need to know their journey so you can evolve with them. When I first started, I was posting for the beginner. And then when I decided to step back from my agency and focus more on my coaching, then I started targeting my new ideal client, which is digital marketers. I help digital marketers make content strategies, learn their ideal client, understand their branding, escalate their business. Like that's what I do now. In the beginning, that's not who I was talking to. Okay. So your ideal client will evolve with your journey as well. The next question is, who are you trying to reach? This irks me so bad because I don't care what digital marketing course you bought. We talk about niche and ideal client over and over and over. And some people sit back and they say, well, it's just not working. And they just give up. Others are like, I'm all in. I got to figure this out. Let me find out more about my ideal client. Start doing, like, I see Tammy in the comments. Tammy is constantly learning about her ideal client. Always. She had an aha moment last week. There's like always something more to learn about your ideal client. So if you're sitting there and you're like, well, I already know I target stay-at-home moms. Okay, girl, you need to get deeper than that. Okay, you need to get deeper than that. We got to go even deeper because there's stay-at-home moms at every level, right? So it's always important that you know who you're trying to reach and you can be clear about your target audience and their segments. There's all different types of segments in your niche as well. So if you say, well, I help people in the health and wellness niche. Okay, cool. What segment? Are you helping menopausal moms? Are you helping, postpartum moms? Are you focused more on gut health? Like there's all these different segments. Your ideal client is your best friend here. They help build your content strategy. It has to be tailored to them. Okay. So if your content strategy is just watching what Rachel's posting every day and going and recreating her videos, that's part of the reason your engagement and your conversions and your content isn't going anywhere. Your ideal client cannot know that you are the person to purchase from if your content strategy is developed from watching other marketers and doing what they're doing. Your content strategy is a Mod Podge of 10 different people. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. Okay. So you need to know who you're trying to reach. Your content strategy needs to have the 3 C's. These are very, very important. It needs to be clear of who you are, what you do for people. Okay. Not what you sell. What you do for people. What transformation do you provide? Nobody cares about what your course is called. They care about the result that your course will help them get. Okay. So clear about who you are and what you do for people. It needs to be concise, okay? I can tell you right now, it is very, very, very important that you be as concise as possible. You don't need to tell people what you ate for lunch on your stories today. You don't need to ramble for 10 minutes in your video about something that doesn't matter to them. Be concise. People's time is your time is your most important asset, and they're not going to waste it by caring about what you got. Not until you get to a certain level of, I don't want to call it influencer, that's like the worst, but there are people I know that watch my content every day just because it inspires them. And it just inspires them. Even if they don't buy anything from me, they're like, I just come watch you every day because it inspires them. And I appreciate that. And that's part of the reason I keep going, right? But until you get to that point where people are like, oh, I just follow you because I love you. And even if you do, that doesn't make sales, right? It's still very important for you to be concise, okay? And give context. This is one of the things that I see the most, like the context of why it's important. So you're over here promoting your course, talking about how many modules are in it, talking about, oh my gosh, there's a sale this week. Today only you get this special. But that people don't understand the context of what that has to do with them, right? This is why we talk about you have to talk to the transformation, the benefit, the solution you're providing, not just the product. So you got to give context of why it's important for them to know this. And this is something I'm constantly working on, okay? You don't get to a status of where you're like, oh, it's perfect. I don't have to do anything. I invest in coaches every year for my business. I'm working with a consultant right now, constantly working to get better. You're going to have to do the same, but you need to understand about giving context to your audience, okay? If you don't do these three things, you will lead your followers to the fourth C. And we don't want the fourth C, okay? Nope. Confusion. If they don't know what you do, how you help them, you ramble or your content is boring, it's not concise, and you don't give any context to why it matters that they should care, they're confused. They're not going to follow. They're definitely not going to buy. So you have to understand the 3 C's, okay? And there's 1,000 other C's. I could go on. I could write a whole alphabet of C's here, but this builds your community. It leads to conversions. Like I could go on and on with the C's, but you need to know clear, concise, and give context, okay? The third thing I want you to ask is which types of messaging are best for your content, okay? So your content should vary depending on where your audience is in their buying cycle and where you are in your journey. And I hinted at this a little earlier. You're going to have brand new people that just started following you today. They don't have a clue what you do. They're beginners. They've never started, right? That's going to be that early top of funnel type content. Later, once you've had some success, once you have some testimonials, once you can do some problem solving content, you've got some experience, then you can start to increase with more middle of funnel content, which will help drive purchasing decisions. That will help drive conversions. Okay. And I say when, hopefully by your 60 or 90-day mark, you can start including some middle of funnel content so that will help those people that started following you day one. It will help them make a buying decision. It speeds up the buying process. Okay. So looking at this, just to explain this a little bit more, your content strategy needs to be a funnel. If your content strategy isn't a combination of the different stages of ideal client avatar and their journey, then you'll see some results, but not consistent conversion. So I talked about this a minute ago, but when you're only posting engagement content, you'll get engagement, little conversion. Only posting conversion content, you'll see little growth, little engagement, maybe some sales, right? When you mix the two together, that's the beauty of it. So that top of funnel content is usually that more generic style content. This is how I got 100 new leads on Instagram today, right? That's going to draw people in, right? That's going to draw people in. Now that's somebody that's helping people grow on Instagram. If you are helping the brand new person that's never done digital marketing, it needs to be about them. They don't care about leads on Instagram. So you need to understand your messaging, right? But What is their immediate problem that you're going to solve? That's going to be that top of funnel. That middle of funnel is usually getting a little deeper into it. So like the biggest mistakes I made when I first started, 3 things I wouldn't do if you're looking to do this, right? It's more in depth, and it will help someone that's been following you for a while make a decision. But you have to make sure your strategy is a mixture of both of these. And there's other types of content too. And that's what I talk about in my academy about, story selling. There's objections. If you can handle your objections in the content that you're producing, you're not going to have so many people in your DMs telling you they can't afford your thing, because you already handled the objections in the content that they watched, right? Your content should be basically a visual of your sales page. It just should. Okay. So you need to understand how your content is a funnel into what you have to offer. If it's random content, off the wall, off the cuff, you don't know what you're doing, there's no strategy behind it, then it's not leading people to a purchase. It's not leading people to buy anything from you. And that's part of the reason you're not seeing any sales. Okay. So now that we went through that, I want to make an announcement with you. But before we do, you might be kind of thinking like, okay, she just went over a lot of things. And now I'm going, oh God, I don't know how to do this. Or I see tons of comments, Facebook and on TikTok, of people going, that's me. That's me. She said, that's me. Right. So you're probably thinking, how do I develop a content strategy? Okay, Alyece, you told me my posting schedule is not the same thing. How do I do this? Right. Where do I find my niche? Some of you are still struggling with your ideal client. You don't know. I had a one-on-one call yesterday, and I helped someone get super clear. Like, these are the questions you need to be asking to uncover your ideal client. I also had my academy call yesterday, and we always are talking about your ideal client. It never stops. Okay. Where do I post? How do I post? How often do I post? That is all part of your strategy, but that's less important than the actual content itself. Okay. It's very easy when you nail down a strategy for you to be able to create an omni-channel presence marketing. Okay. And just to kind of sum that up really quick, I have people all the time that are in my DMs or even commenting on my stories that are like, you're everywhere. How are you everywhere? It's because I create one really good piece of content and then I rinse and repeat it across all platforms. That's called omni-channel marketing. Okay. That means I'm able to take one piece of content and put it everywhere. And that's not just, oh, I took my TikTok and I threw it over on Instagram. I'm curating it to the platform so that it performs better. And that's what I teach you in the academy, is how to create that rinse and repeat system. Okay. Because a business is a system. We talked about this earlier. If you're not organized, there's no way you're going to be able to make it to 6-7 figures. Okay. You got to have systems in place. I tell you, as a busy mom of 3 who is, getting full custody of my kids back today from teachers, I'm going to tell you right now, it is damn hard without systems in place to be consistent in your business. Okay. Damn hard. Like, my kids are going to be here all summer and I love it. I'm very excited. We have fun Fridays and things like that planned. But if I didn't have systems in my business, I wouldn't be able to step away from my computer. That's why you're on your phone 24/7. You don't have a system. That's why you're watching the movie night with your kids and you're sitting over here on your phone. Right? So you're probably also thinking about, should have business page, personal page, VIP groups. You have all of these questions. And that's definitely things that we cover. Okay. How can I learn to write good marketing and sales content? So maybe you've been posting for a while and it's not done anything. It's not going anywhere. 9 times out of 10, I promise you're not shadow banned. Your content is not good. I know. I didn't come here to break anybody's heart today, but good content will always rise to the top. Cream of the crop always rises. Okay. And so the only way to get better at it is to practice and to plan. Period. The end. Practice and plan. Okay. A lot of this is about developing the muscle. And I am not one to come on here and teach you how to hyperspeed your growth and go viral. That's not me. I'm here teaching you how to build a sustainable business, because I've been in business since June of 2022, 2 years, next month, maybe a week and a half from now. And I have consistently seen growth every year. I would rather have that than go make $100,000 selling a course and then burn my ass out and quit. That does no good for why I started. right? So if you're here to build a sustainable business with an income that you can depend on, you're in the right place. Okay, you're in the right place. So if you are tired of wasting your most precious time, most precious asset, time, okay, I got you. You might lack the skills, you might lack the strategy. A lot of you lack the mindset, period, point blank. You're just not in the mindset to be a business owner yet. I wasn't either when I first got started. I promise you, I made a lot of mistakes. I doubted myself a lot. And I undercharged for my services a lot because I wasn't in the mindset to believe I was worth any more than that. Okay. Some of that is just because of you being hard on yourself. And some of that is because maybe you've been groomed that way, right? I was in a job where no one thought my role was important. I wasn't given raises when I asked, I had to ask, like all of those things, right? You understand that. So if you are, these are the skills that you need to develop your content strategy and get really good at marketing, because you are a marketer, okay? I don't care if you are in the wealth niche, the health and wellness niche, the homestead niche, doesn't matter. You're a marketer if you're online trying to promote your services. Selling, marketing, communication, leadership, social media, networking, connection, technology, content creation. You're exhausted already. I get it. This is why you're burnt out. There's a lot of skills to learn. Okay, a lot of skills to learn. And that's okay, especially if you're a beginner. You don't have all of these skills right off the bat. You got to learn them, okay? But you're going to spend a lot of time watching YouTube trying to figure this out on your own. You're going to exhaust yourself. That's why you have fatigue right now. That's why you're on the hamster wheel right now, okay? The cost of learning those skills is time, effort, and experience. The time that you're giving away from your family, maybe spending your weekends working on your business, right? There is always going to be a cost associated with becoming a business owner. I will never tell you that you'll be able to just do this in 1 to 2 hours a day. That's bullshit. I can't stand seeing that. Okay, ever. But how much time have you spent already trying to figure this out on your own? What is the cost of that? One of my very first mentors put it in a frame of, she said, what are you worth per hour? I said, what do I charge or what am I worth? And so I came up with $100 an hour. I was like, $100 an hour. She said, okay, how many hours a week are you spending right now watching YouTube, listening to podcasts, all of these things, trying to get better? I said, well, right now, probably about 30 hours a week. I quit my job. Most of you might not know my story. I quit my job. I left and then started my business. So I had all the time in the world, but I wasn't making any sales immediately. The effort, right? This is why you're burning out. You're exhausted. And the experiences come with time. But why did you start, right? If you started to be able to change your financial situation, are you willing to wait 5 years until you get the experience? Because I've got almost 7 years of experience next month. So how long are you willing to wait to get the experience? When do you need a result? This is what you need to be thinking as a business owner. When do you need a result? Because it's not going to happen overnight. So how long are you willing to wait to get the experience, okay? So when you learn from an expert, you shortcut that time, the effort, and that energy to do it on your own. When you work with someone like me, I'm able to give you everything that I've learned in 7 years and compress time for you. That's why you mentor, that and accountability, because your excuses are probably part of the reason you're holding yourself back too. But you shortcut that time, right? If I'm able to give you my rinse and repeat system and say, hey, let's put this into place in your business, how much freaking time does that save you? Right? Effort. If you could learn how to create a rinse and repeat content system strategy that works, and you could get back 10 hours a week with your kids, is that worth it to you? The energy to do it on your own, right? Very important. So with that being said, because I actually have a call with my coach in 8 minutes, and I have the gift of gab. I talked way longer than I anticipated today. 2.0 is here. So if you have never talked to me about my academy, maybe you have, maybe you haven't, maybe you don't even know that I have one. Social Success Academy 2.0 is rolling out. I'm so excited about this. So I'll give you a little bit of a backstory on this. When I first started, like I said, my business, I started as social media manager. I worked with 6- and 7-figure entrepreneurs and managed their social media for them. So I do what I do for me now for them. Okay, that's what I did. I very quickly learned that I much prefer to teach other people how to do it versus do it for them. That's just me. I liked coaching. So I developed the academy originally about a year ago in May. And we are rolling out a 2.0. And what is changing is that I'm breaking it down even further. Okay. So in the academy, you're with me for 6 months. Okay. So you would work with me for 6 months on developing a rinse and repeat system for your business. Okay. Rinse and repeat, meaning I get up, my content is done in less than 30 minutes a day, like posted. That's like my whole time. The rest of my day I spend on planning more content, working on my funnels, working on my email, doing the things in your business that actually make you money. Okay. So in the academy, I've updated the modules because social media is always changing. So it needs a refresh. If you buy a system, you better ask when the last update was. Okay. But I work with you to get a rinse and repeat content system that will bring sales and leads consistently. Okay. I don't promise that it's going to work for you in a week. I never will promise that. Don't ever hire a coach that makes false promises like that. But I promise you that if you take the system that I have used to bring the results into my business and you put it into yours and you show up and you do the work, 100% it will work for you. It's a system. It's a method. It's not a concept. Okay. So let me just tell you a little bit about it. Again, it's a 6-month program. These are some of the things that are included with it. You do get 2 private calls with me. This is where we customize it to you, right? So maybe you've bought a course before and you're watching, you're like, I know all of this. I have more questions. What about this? What about that? And you have nobody to ask your questions to. Or you get something, you bought a course and then you're like, well, this doesn't really apply to me, right? The private coaching calls are where we work on your business specifically. Me and you, let's build out your platform. Let's build out your system. Let's look at your sales funnels and move the needle in your business. You get private channel Voxer support with me. So Monday through Thursday, I'm in Voxer with my students. So when you have that question, I see a ton of questions in the comment section on Facebook and TikTok. Who would you ask those questions to? Do you just go drop them on someone's Instagram reel and hope they answer them for you? Because 9 times out of 10, most aren't, right? They're going to just, if you ask a content question, they're going to drop you their course and say, buy my thing to get my questions answered. This is where you get your questions answered. Voxer is an app. For those of you that don't know, it's a walkie-talkie app. And you and I can chat in there. We have a student chat. We have live weekly calls. Okay, so every week, training with me. Facebook support and community. You get a beautiful little welcome box. This is my original prototype. It's very small, but they're much bigger now. Okay. You get a beautiful welcome box with just some things from me that help you make it more tangible. You get lifetime access to my accredited curriculum. And I want to mention that my curriculum is fully dually accredited. Think of it like a college program. Okay. I have had the ACOP Council accredit my curriculum to ensure that it's not something ChatGPT wrote for you. Okay. My curriculum has been backed and you have lifetime access to it. And then VIP to any other offerings while I'm in the academy. So while you're in the academy. So if I drop any master classes, programs, challenges, my students get that for free. Okay. Easily a $15,000 value. It is not even a fifth of that price. Okay. So if you are interested in learning more about the academy, drop academy in the comments. TikTok, I hate to tell you guys, it will not work on TikTok. So if you want more details, message me on Instagram, the word academy. Okay. I'm sorry. TikTok won't let me send you a link, but I am only enrolling a certain amount of students. So this is like first come, first serve. And the first 5 will actually get additional bonuses. Okay. So the first 5 people get fast action bonuses. I want to work with action takers. I want to work with decision makers. I don't want to work with the person that's like, maybe not, maybe. No, I want to work with you to help you get results. So the first 5 people will also get $1,600 in additional bonuses from me Again, first come, first serve. Spots are limited. So I wouldn't wait. I would take action if I were you. Now, if you are someone who's like, I don't know that I'm ready for the academy. I'm just now getting started. I need more clarity on my ideal client. I need to understand my avatar more before I create the content strategy. Then I challenge you to look at the club. Okay. So the Social Success Club, this is also a mentorship program for me. It is the step before the academy. In the club, we have weekly live calls. You also get fully accredited curriculum. You just don't get any one-on-ones or Voxer support from me. We do have a community where you get your questions answered. There's tons of resources that can help you be successful. We've already had a lot of students that have seen just so much clarity in alignment just from the first 2 calls of the club. But if you don't feel like the academy is the place for you yet, you're not ready, to take that leap, then definitely check out the club, because we have our next call tomorrow. So if you jump in the club today, you can be on the call tomorrow, and you'll get immediate access to all the curriculum as well. So with that being said, I am so excited that you guys hung out with me today. I have a call with my coach in 1 minute, always working on my business. If you're interested in the club, drop club in the comments. If you're on TikTok, you got to go to Instagram or Facebook to drop the keyword. You can drop club in the comments or academy in the comments. And I would love to chat with you in the DMs to see if it's a good fit for you, which one's a better fit for you, and of course, answer any questions that you guys have. So, all right, y'all, I will be back next Wednesday. See y'all soon. Bye.